Rhino, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
Check.
This check is for you.
That's right.
What are we going to do when we have somebody from Czechoslovakia and we do that? Check.
Test check.
Who is that? Was that John? Was that John saying that?
Yes.
John, you're a little quiet, but you're going to be a tough case because I could hear you breathing at the start. So you got to move the microphone closer to the tip of your nose.
Okay, are we better now?
Yeah, that's not bad. And you got to project.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all about projecting.
Don't be like me.
Oh, you're fine. You know what Ron Kleiss tried to tell me the other day, Kelly?
What's that?
Where there was that one viewer mail where there was a lot of breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And he insisted it was you. And I said, no, it's not Kelly. Yes, it is. Oh. It's definitely Kelly. And I said, no, I've never had a problem with Kelly's breathing. Nostrils. Yeah. It's Kelly. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not Kelly.
I've got the new mic, so it can't be me.
Well, this was from before. It could have been from before.
Oh, it's before. Oh, okay.
Were you still, even before then, you never had a problem with breathing? Ever? You've never?
No, I had those bouts where I would go, ugh.
Well, you still do that.
That's all the time.
Yeah, you still do that. That's not breathing.
Nothing new there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Marks who has the nasal problems.
Yeah.
Who?
Marks.
No, I know who it was, but I'm not saying.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, come on.
No, not on the air. You don't want to embarrass the person.
Well, it wasn't me.
No, we're one big happy family.
Yeah.
Well, this person isn't particularly a regular member of the family.
Oh, okay. All right. That narrows it down.
Oh.
Yeah,
it wasn't me.
It was Brad. It was Brad. It was Brad.
I hold my breath through these entire podcasts.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't. It's only the people with the giant nostrils. and there's no problem with Kelly now because he's got the full boat. He's got all the full quality equipment,
studio equipment in here.
Exactly.
Did you get your proper AML stickers on there yet, Kelly?
I put the sticker I wanted on there.
Well, so long as you put a sticker, that's okay.
Since he's asking, there we go.
Well,
is that appropriate?
That's appropriate.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's a little too high, isn't it? On the
yeah, you got it a few degrees above the horizontal.
I put it on it. I unfortunately I was at an angle when I put it on.
When you were I'm really embarrassed because our guest for tonight has never been on the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, man, oh man, already he's probably in the green room listening to this, thinking to himself, I could be just
probably thinking, oh, wait a minute, I've got an emergency. I've got to deal at the house.
I was gonna say if he's listening, he probably already left.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
I think he's going to work out really well because anybody would take a bucket of cheese balls and ask the public to tell how many cheese balls are in that bucket. It's definitely AML.
Well, now you're giving away who it is.
No, man.
Not everybody knows. Not everybody knows. I'm in a good mood tonight.
95.
Kelly's in a good mood. Uh-oh.
I may keep talking.
Are you on the?
That can't be good.
Are you on the happy grass?
No, actually, I'm probably still. I don't know, adrenaline high from today because we had our open run for the public.
Oh yeah,
we moved 1,000 people.
Wow,
train and made a lot of money donations, which was nice. And we had a derailment, and I spent 2 hours fixing track.
Oh boy,
out in the hot sun.
How fast?
Somebody have to pee in a cup?
No, it was the we think the heat caused the old ties that have the screws that hold the rail on the tie get old enough that they start to shrink, and if the heat is involved, sometimes it just a hair wider than it should be, and then the car derails.
How fast was the train? How fast was the train going?
He was going the legitimate speed, probably 6 to 7 miles an hour, which is legitimate.
But you're not sure. Were you out there with the radar? I wasn't
there with my radar gun. I was somewhere else.
What's happened with the radar gun? Do you still use it?
I ran out of batteries. No, I haven't used it.
You never used it, did you? You were gonna be Mr. 7.5-inch state trooper, and you never used it.
Yeah, because I had time. I had the time to go do that. Now I'm scheduling who's got what engine, the conductors, the engineer.
Have you ever noticed? And I said this several years ago. I said, did you ever notice that when you got there, the membership has constantly gone down at the Medford Railroad Park?
That's because we're all over 70 years old.
Well, what happened to all the younger people?
They're not coming in. It's amazing. Either model railroad clubs have a problem.
And have you noticed that they stopped coming in when you got there?
No, they're I'll tell you what, the Garden Railway are bringing a lot of people in.
Okay, so there are coming in.
There are people coming in, but for the people that are into the 1-on-1 or the live steam or the HO, where skills are involved, we've got some young people that have come in with families, but obviously the other stuff that's in life.
You're not one of those old guys that chases them away, are you?
No. I love it when people come. And somebody pulls me aside. Do you have an application? Hey, come on, join. Maybe I do steer them away because
I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do, what's that show? There's some show where the boss wears a disguise.
Undercover boss.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be undercover member and come out there and join and just see what it's like to be.
All I have to hear is your voice, and I know it's Lionel.
Well, I'll change it. I'll talk like this. Or I'll
that's a big change.
Or I'll pretend I'm a deaf mute or something.
Oh, gee, that's even worse. I'll recognize your hair. Oh, God. That'd be fun. That would be fun.
So, you guys, we have somebody that's been on the show joining you guys because I was afraid that Kelly and the mailboy and the professor were going to screw this up. So I invited John France to come along.
Good. Howdy, guys.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Did they make you sign the waiver?
I was waived away last year when I had my first interview with Lionel, and it's been a fantastic experience since. I know how the game's played.
So for some reason or other,
it seems a little bit cocky to me.
Yeah. So
by the end of this, it'll change.
So for some reason or other, when he found out I was wanting to interview our next guest, John insisted that he had to be part of it because apparently him and our guest are the best of friends.
Ooh.
Which we'll ask the guest. Actually, John, why don't you get Ryan in here and we'll get right to it.
Okay. Hey, Ryan, stop eating the shrimp and get in here.
Hey, I ate before just because I heard about these shrimp.
Attaboy.
So that voice you hear is none other than Ryan Thoman. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan Thoman.
Thoman,
yeah.
Yeah, well, we've changed it to Thoman, so.
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. I'm used to it. It's been that way my entire life. So.
Thoman.
Yep.
Thoman. Do you know what the heritage or the ethnicity of that is?
Swiss.
Swiss. Oh, cool.
Wow. So he's got something in common with what's Robin?
Robin
Felder.
Robin. Yes.
Yeah, and apparently he probably loves cheese,
especially Swiss cheese.
There you go. So, for those who don't know, and I can't imagine why many people would, there'd be a few people that know that are listening to this podcast. But Ryan is the owner of White Rose Hobbies.
Wow, got it.
And where is that located?
York, Pennsylvania.
And how long have you had White Rose Hobbies?
Oh, we're going on about 15 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about 2017 is when we got a little bigger, got a little more well-known, but we've been around since, I think, 2008 is when we really started.
And when will you know for sure?
Well, it depends on what you count as actually starting or not.
Okay, well, and did I read somewhere or somehow somebody told me or John said something or whatever that you used to work for the railroad?
Yeah, actually, I quit the railroad, I'd say about 3 years ago now.
Okay. Oh. So you had the hobby shop going and you still had your full-time job at the railroad?
Yeah, actually, I had the shop first, and then I got the job at the railroad.
John?
Lionel?
This guy seems like he's going to be trouble. I just have a sense that there's going to be trouble.
He's not any more trouble than Kelly or Brad are sometimes.
Okay, all right. So then, Ryan, you're going to have to try to fill us in a little bit. I'll try to ask some questions, some intelligent questions. But if you've ever listened to the podcast, you understand that that's some sort of a stretch.
Hey, Lionel, are some of the questions not intelligent?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Tons of them, most of them.
Yeah. He apparently hasn't listened to the podcast.
John,
does John know about that button you have your finger on?
I was just going to explain to John. He'd be a lot happier if he thought of me as his dim-witted brother.
I usually do.
Oh, God.
And that was the last we ever heard of John. And John,
I'll ask the question. John, do you have a way to record this podcast?
I know it might be my last, right, Brad?
Yeah. Yep. You don't want your Etch-a-Sketch, or you don't want your membership written on an Etch-a-Sketch like mine is.
Okay, Ryan. So let's see if we can't fill ourselves in here, because White Rose Hobbies. Are you the sole owner of White Rose Hobbies?
Well, no, actually, I have a co-owner.
Okay. So it's you and another guy or another person or a wife or a girlfriend or what is it?
Yeah. Another guy. My wife does work there full time, but it's
wow, another family business.
Yeah, the guy that co-owns it with me, we both worked at the railroad together. That's how we got going with this.
So you started the hobby store before you got hired on at the railroad.
Yeah, and then I realized starting a hobby store, you don't actually make any money, so I had to get a real job.
And that was with Norfolk Southern?
Yeah, Norfolk Southern, yep.
And what did you do with them?
I started out conductor and made it up to locomotive engineer trainee when I left.
Okay. And so what's your partner's name?
Tom Robinson.
Okay, so you and Tom were sitting around one night and went, "Hey, let's start a hobby store."
Well, we had the hobby store already. It was just a lot smaller, and it turned out his family owned this property with a giant building on it, and I was looking for a place to rent to move to a bigger space, and he suggested that I check out his space, and one thing led to another, and we ended up just partnering up, and that was in 2017 when that happened.
Okay, so you started the hobby store by yourself.
Yeah, it was more like with my parents. There's a whole thing of how it started.
Well, see, that's why we do these podcasts, is so that we find out the whole thing about how it started. You know.
So,
are you gonna be trouble?
I'll try not to.
Okay.
But so, the history before my own shop was that I worked at Model Train Stuff for MB Klein. That was down in Maryland, which everyone knows by now is no longer with us. But it just wasn't going well for me there. And one day Ted Klein, the owner, told me if I didn't like it, I can start my own. So I did just that.
So you weren't getting along with the owner for whatever reason. You were just a troublemaker or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And so he said, if you don't like it, go start your own. So you actually did. How old were you?
Oh, that would have been...
That was my late 09-ish, yeah.
Late 20s, it would have been late 20s, yeah. Mid-late 20s.
And how old were you, John, when you started?
About the same, because Ryan's only about a year older than me. And actually, at the same, I also worked with Ryan at modeltrainstuff.com at the time until I had some creative differences with the owner, and it was time to seek other employment.
Wow.
So it seems like you guys just can't get along then with people.
Let's just say certain personalities. Ted was a great guy, but it was because his name was on the business. He was always the guy in charge, and it was hard for him to accept new ideas, which Ryan had. So, Ryan took those ideas and he's become successful with them. And
you didn't have any ideas. You were just a load?
I am a facilitator.
Okay. You kind of walked right into that one. That one hit you right in the smack in the head. Okay, so then Ryan, so you leave MB Klein, and how did you decide to start your own hobby shop?
Yeah, so I talked my parents into this idea, and we got a small loan, and really we started in their house in my stepbrother's bedroom, and then in 2009 is when we actually got an actual brick and mortar, and it was probably only about 700 square feet, pretty small, but we had that.
So did your stepbrother have any problem with you having all your train stuff in his bedroom?
No, he was in the Navy, so he was away.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. Ryan.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, didn't Alan either trade in or mortgage his Mustang Cobra to help fund the shop?
Not at first. No, we ultimately did that. That was more or less Harley Davidson. Not doing layoffs, but taking away overtime more than the shop. But it was kind of like it was stretching everything a little thin. So he did. Luckily for us, made that decision to have a little more wiggle room.
So how was Harley Davidson involved?
That's where he worked full time at Harley Davidson while we were starting this.
Your stepbrother?
He was my stepfather.
Oh, your stepdad. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he worked on one of my engines. Maybe he did.
He was on the line at some point in time, but for the most part, he was like tool and die maker. So he would make parts to keep the machines going, to keep the line running, stuff like that. Well, but I'm sure he was involved some way.
Yeah, let's pretend that at some point he worked on one of my bikes. So it sounds like your parents were very supportive then. Like, what did you come home one day and said, the guy at MB Klein is he won't sell any Rapido trains?
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
And you said, I've had enough of this guy and I want to start my own shop, or?
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty aware of my frustrations, so.
And so they were very much behind you. Like, how did you go to shows? Like, how did you start selling out of your stepbrother's bedroom? What did you have steady foot traffic, or?
Well, so for that short period of time that we were in the bedroom, we really were just online. And I actually, at that time, my website was called DCC Installed, and I would survive largely on people just sending me their locomotives, and I would just put decoders in them. And then I got to the point where that was taking up too much time, and I couldn't focus on the retail aspect. So I decided to stop doing that as much and focus more on the retail and actually look for a brick and mortar location.
Well, retail is dead, right?
Yeah, I've heard that actually.
Like, you're not supposed to have started a hobby shop and become successful. You're screwing everything up.
Well, it's not easy, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. But you're obviously making a go of it. So it sounds like it's being pretty successful. So, okay. So pretty quickly you got a 700 square foot brick and mortar place.
Yep. And that's where we were till 2017. And the tie into how I got a job at the railroad was there was a guy right down the street that worked for the railroad, and he was one of my first customers. And he advised me against working for the railroad, but I still decided to go that route.
So there was a guy down the street that worked for the railroad that told you not to work for the railroad, but you went and got a job for the railroad anyways.
Yep, that's about it.
Okay. So really, there was not really much reason to mention that guy. Because was his name Steve?
No.
So, okay, but now you're going to have to you got to help us out here, John. You understand the general principles of an audio podcast, right?
I do, sir.
Okay, so feel free to jump in here and help me direct this conversation, because I've never met Ryan. I've walked past his booth at Springfield several times, thinking to myself, who's this guy with the cheese balls? And he's ripping off my idea. But then I started hearing he's a good guy, and in his booth he had some Rapido trains,
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
And then I started investigating, and I thought, hey, this guy sounds like a fun guy. We got to get him on. And the next thing I knew, Tom Jacobs was telling us that for the Jerry Britton's Cheese Ball Run at Tomstock, one of the places we're going to is White Rose Hobbies. And then when you go on the internet, and type in whiterosehobbies.com, that's pretty straightforward. It's white, then rose, then hobbies.com. And you click on the website. It's really cool, and they got this really cool building, and they sell all kinds of stuff. Other than they don't just sell model railroad stuff, they sell all sorts of stuff. And I thought, hey, we got to get this guy on the podcast. So did you know Ryan from MB Klein then, John?
Ryan and I kind of knew of each other, and then it just kind of happened. That it's kind of neat. This was back in the days before Facebook Messenger really took off. That there was still this thing called AOL Instant Messenger, and one day I get a random message from Ryan, and we just started chatting about trains of York and all that, and it turns out it's kind of these things we had as shared experiences growing up, and just didn't know about each other. That helps that we were kind of a year apart, and so we just kind of became fast friends. And it's been a over 15-year whirlwind of having fun, just getting to experience these things together. This is going to sound very cliche, but some people are just born lucky, and that is Ryan. You laugh when you say this, but so Ryan, left MB Klein's to start the hobby shop, and has been really successful at that. Even when he went to work for the railroad, he was successful at that too, Lionel. He wasn't bad at anything he did. When he was at the railroad working for Norfolk Southern, he went down and he was, close to the top of his class. He could pick a job he wanted when he left and graduated, and he did. Yeah.
So, haven't been self-employed since I was about 25 years old. I do know this. There's not a whole lot of luck involved if you're successful. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of smart decisions, but not a whole lot of luck. Okay, so you guys have known each other. So Ryan, so then you had this little shop, and you went to work for the railroad, I'm assuming, because you probably weren't making enough money, like enough profit out of the shop.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was. I mean, we didn't really have any capital to start the shop with. It was. We just got a small SBA loan and got a little inventory to get started. But I mean, I was doing odd jobs, mowing grass, kind of whatever I could. And eventually I was able to take a small salary from the shop, but it still wasn't quite enough. And I'd just been married a few years before this, and we were, wanted to buy a house, start a family, that whole thing. So kind of had to do something to bring some income in.
Sure.
So we could not delay that process any longer.
Right. You're a family man, and you wanted to be the good family man and bring in be the breadwinner and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging for a few years until I did have that income from the railroad.
So then if it was challenging, like, why do you think you had the hobby shop, or you did the hobby shop? You just have this, I'm assuming primarily you're a model railroader. Like, I know the hobby shop sells all sorts of hobbies now. White Rose Hobbies sells all sorts of hobbies now. But I mean, was it primarily model railroading you started out doing?
Yeah, up until we moved to the new location, it was 100% model railroading. And, that's all my life I've been in model railroading. So that's why it was that way at first.
And can you kind of describe your passion for the hobby, like that you wanted to start a hobby shop? I'm assuming it was something along the lines of, you just loved the hobby and you thought it would be cool to own a hobby shop.
Yeah. So, I mean, the real story there was just my grandfather would always take me to hobby shops when I was a kid. And it was always something I enjoyed doing. And I just wanted to make a place where, hopefully other people's grandpas brought their grandchildren, stuff like that. So I did have that going in the back of my mind the whole time.
And did your grandfather ever mention Rapido trains?
You're a fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
Well, unfortunately, he was gone before Rapido trains was an idea, but he would have loved them, I'm sure.
So, okay. So then, and so you had the little shop, you go and get a job at the railroad. And it must have been pretty hard. Like, did you have any full-time employees at the shop or anything?
Yeah. So, my stepfather, Alan, was the one that pretty much, he worked. We had the hours kind of set around his schedule at Harley. He was working either a lot of third shift, so we were open more in the evening, so he could sleep in the morning, and then I would be doing odd jobs during the mornings, and then we kind of spend the evening at the shop.
That's cool. That's cool.
When I went,
so it sounds like your parents, your stepdad and your mom, were real supportive for you.
Yeah, and they still are to this day, which is definitely
cool.
Wouldn't have been able to do it without them for sure.
Yeah, that's just a cool thing. Period. End of sentence. Just cool that they've been helping you so much.
Well, and Lionel, also part of Ryan's success is that.
Yeah, I know he's lucky.
No,
I don't know where he came up with that one. But.
So the York area up until, and even the greater York Lancaster area up until about the 2000s had some really decent shops. But the issue is you had guys getting older and retiring and closing up their shops. And there really wasn't a good hobby shop that was within, say, 30, 45 minutes of York anymore. And Ryan just kind of filled that gap. And with retail these days, you need to be fully integrated with the internet to really become successful. And Ryan was willing to do that. Because, others have tried it and it just doesn't work. You need to really understand your product, know your people. And, part of the, I remember going to the local hobby shop in York growing up, that you could go in there and my father could order detail parts and they'd be in 2 weeks. And, there weren't really many shops anymore that you could do that. And Ryan brought back that kind of customer appeal again, that I could order something and it'd be in a few weeks and I would know it'd be there waiting for me. They wouldn't sell it out from under me, that kind of good stuff. So, it was good to have that kind of support as a prototype modeler.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's kind of it's a very interesting story in this day and age of woe is me, brick and mortar stores are disappearing. I think I agree with you, or I feel like there's people like our buddy Lauren James, who has a very successful shop in Tilsonburg, and Ryan has a successful shop. There are successful shops, and shops can survive if they know how to work their shops alongside the internet. This is another great story because, I mean, rather than this shop disappearing, along with, like I say, Lauren James or our buddy Stephen Atwell from Midwest Hobbies. That's what it's called.
Midwest Model Railroad.
Midwest Model Railroad. I knew that. I was just testing. Okay. Yeah, I was testing.
For those playing at home, whereabouts is York located in Pennsylvania?
We're right between Harrisburg and Baltimore, basically, right along Route 83, Route 30.
You hear that, Brad?
I believe that's exactly what I said when we were discussing this before.
Yeah, exactly. But when we were doing another podcast and I was trying to get somebody to say what big city is, I went, it's near Philadelphia, isn't it? And I went, oh, no, it's near Harrisburg, and it's this, and it's this. And I'm like, well, okay, for people that live in South Africa, they know of Washington, Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, and Boston. Can you give me a hint? And he was able to say right out of the box, it's near Baltimore.
Yeah.
Lionel, the way I always say it is that if you're from the U.S., York is 45 minutes east of Gettysburg, because everybody knows where Gettysburg is because of some battle that happened there. If you're not from the United States, York is 45 minutes south of Hershey, because if you're not from the U.S., but you still know what Hershey's chocolate is.
Yeah, I don't think people necessarily in South Africa would know where Hershey's chocolate is.
Yeah. Well,
let's test that out. Kelly?
Yes.
How close is the shop to Gettysburg?
How close is the shop to Gettysburg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you sleeping?
No.
You want to come up with another example there, John?
Oh, no.
Oh, I was gonna say cue elevator music.
And the professor liked that one.
Yeah, that was well played, Lionel.
It is 29.4 miles away, 48 minutes away from Gettysburg, and it is. How close are you to the Lincoln Highway?
We're on the Lincoln Highway.
Yep, see, that's right. Route 30.
The amazing thing, Brad, is how much time we spend writing this stuff up.
I know.
These scripts don't just fall out of the sky.
No, they don't.
This
was a good 48 hours of work for us putting that together, right?
To get all that put together.
All right, Kelly, you're the geographer apparently. So,
the map I got it. Google
how far to Philadelphia and how far to Baltimore?
Oh, we can do that. That's easy to do.
Should we stop for an hour and wait, or
no? You guys continue on while I do the Google on the machine.
Well, here. I'll give a statistic that Lionel will enjoy. The shop is with.
Hang on, there, sport.
You'd be very presumptuous.
Yeah, that's a stretch, but go ahead, give it a shot.
Okay, the White Rose Hobbies in its location is within 30 minutes of the home of where Utz Cheese Balls is made.
Okay,
that's good.
Yeah, all right. But that's again, that's I'll accept that. I'll accept that without explanation. And that all and the whole cheese ball thing all started in a mobile station, and now I sound like I'm from the South. It all started in a mobile station on the Massachusetts Turnpike, about 30 miles west of Springfield, Massachusetts. Mm. Hey, look, cheese balls.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. People always are disappointed there's no grand plan, and the entire thing started with, "Hey, look, cheese balls in a bucket."
I think I'll take one to Springfield.
Yeah,
absolutely. Are the cheese balls for eating? No. Well, why not? Because. And why? Why not?
Why are you holding those in the picture? Why not?
This is a thinking man's podcast.
That's right.
We don't spoon feed you. We make you think of the whole ramifications and consequences, and try to come up with your own theory.
That's a very good point.
We sure as hell don't have one.
Yeah, Bruce makes a very solid point there. It's not just a walk in the park. This particular podcast.
No, it's not.
No,
you have to think about everything you do, because you never know when you're going to be setting a trend, and you don't want to set a bad trend, right?
That's an excellent point. We don't want to set any.
Or you never know if you say something wrong when it might be your last time, and things like that. So yeah.
How do you think this is going so far, Ryan?
It's pretty good. I've been listening for a while, so I'm pretty up on what to expect with these things.
Yeah.
So what you're really trying to say is marginally adequate.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, okay. I just want, though, Ryan, we like the philosophical side of the people we interview. So I'm really interested in your journey from starting a hobby store. Like, at some point, did you think to yourself, this is a really bad idea?
Quite often, yeah. Happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because, it's, as you know, running a business, there's so much that you would never think about until you're, faced with the situation. And just even still to this day, there's stuff that comes up that, makes you think a little.
And so what do you think it was that kept you going?
Well, kind of past the point of no return once you get into the process. I mean, it's not something you can just hang up.
Yeah, that's something that's interesting for people to know that don't run a business, because you kind of do reach a point of no return where you kind of like in my particular case, it wasn't that long until I had 8 or 10 employees, and you're kind of thinking, well, if I shut this thing down, a lot of people are going to be affected, and blah blah blah. On the days you don't feel like doing it anymore. And I mean, like any business in its early days, there was plenty of times when I paid my employees, but I never paid myself. And I have no problem with that, because those were the early days of keeping the thing going. And it's just like you say, it kind of reaches a point of no return where you kind of just keep going. So, all right. So your friend Tom comes along, and do you think he'd mind if we called him Steve?
Not at all.
Okay. So your friend Tom comes along, aka Steve, and he says, "Hey, I've got this really cool building." Like you were in. It was your business with the help of your parents. I'm assuming at this point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they technically were the owners on paper at that time.
Sure, but because it's like a family thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Like it's like my business now. My son is well along into running it, and I'm still the president. But we all know that I don't make any of the decisions. I'm making fewer and fewer decisions. And yes, Kelly, right now I'm in Florida. So okay,
there's no problem.
So what made you decide to go to Florida then?
That's a great question, Bruce.
Yeah. For a poker tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Obviously.
Yeah.
So for those playing at home,
okay,
Florida is the southern part of the state that sticks out pointing towards Cuba.
101 miles to Philly.
Okay,
and it looks like 53 miles to Baltimore.
Which is
how far to Tom Jacobs' house?
Yeah.
Well, that.
Yeah, there's a tough one.
Reading, I'm looking at Reading. It's actually 89 miles or actually 53 miles to my house in Pennsylvania.
In Oregon?
No, where I used to live.
Oh, okay.
In Pennsylvania, my hometown.
Oh, okay. You have a house. Reading, you have a house in Pennsylvania?
My parents used to.
Oh, I see.
Reading. That's gonna be rough because I didn't put in. Okay.
Well, take your time. Don't forget.
Take your time. We'll get back to you. We'll carry on the conversation. Get back to us when you have an answer.
Carry the one. Not.
Not. Do some ciphering.
Do some ciphering.
Get your gazintas right.
Yeah, get your gazintas right. And don't forget, we have a highly educated professor here if you get yourself into a jam.
That's true.
That's it.
That's true.
So here's a question for our guest. He started with model trains, and that way. Then what made you decide to branch out into everything else besides it's obvious? You need the more stuff you have, the more people in the store, and the more money you make.
Yeah. So when we decided to partner up and make the move into this bigger building, that was one of the things that I'd wanted to do was branch out from trains a little bit. And originally the thought was, he would take care of the RC car stuff and I would take care of the trains. But I kind of ended up getting involved in almost the whole everything. So.
And okay,
right. So okay, and looking at what you sell, is there a big goat hunting season in Pennsylvania there? Because I see you got a thing called goat guns, and I just think, wow, there must be wild goats everywhere in Pennsylvania that are being hunted down.
That's actually one of our newer product lines, and that they were at our show that I'm involved in running in Las Vegas, and they would put on an exhibit there, and just looked like a cool thing to bring in. So the GOAT stands for the greatest of all time guns. So they basically make miniature replicas of, famous guns like M1 Garands, 1911, stuff like that.
Did I just hear you say the show I run in Las Vegas?
Oh boy. Stop the bus.
Yes. So yes, I'm involved in running a trade show for the hobby industry in Las Vegas.
Wow. Well, that's right too. Yeah. Cause when you send in your, you were, hey dude, where's my t-shirt emails? Yeah. You got all these things below your name. You're the something or other.
Yeah. So what it is the National Retail Hobby Store Association. And I'm on the board of directors, and I'm on a bunch of the committees, the show committee being one of them. And I'm also the chairman of the Industry Relations Committee.
So hang on, let me see if I can find one of these. Hey, dude, here's one here. And you see, Brad?
Yes, I see.
Stay with me on this one, Brad.
All right, I'm dialed in.
Okay, because we started. Hey, dude, where's my shirt? People think it's because I'm lazy and I'm an idiot, but really, in reality, Ryan wouldn't have written in, and we wouldn't have found out about all this cool stuff that he does. He's the director and chairman of the Industry Relations Committee for the National Retail Hobby Stores Association. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So how did you end up as the director and chairman of the Industry Relations Committee?
Well, it's kind of one of those things where, a big organization like that, not a lot of people want to take those positions. So I had wanted to be more involved, and the guy that was running that particular committee was in Alaska. Actually, his store's in Anchorage, and we got to know each other pretty well. And just he got tied up doing other things and decided to.
He got eaten by a bear. So
yeah, that happens weekly out there. But I just decided because I like talking with the companies. I talk to a fair amount of them anyway. So basically, the idea of the committee is if there's anything going on that our stores have an issue with a certain manufacturer or something like that, then instead of 200 stores, going after a problem, that we could consolidate and just have one point of contact to deal with issues, or just for me to pass information out from the companies, stuff like that.
So let's wrap up this story. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up. It's got something to do with Kelly. I'm not sure what, but it's got something to do with Kelly.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we know it has to be his fault, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
That's what. Look who said it. That's why.
Yeah. So okay, let's just finish up the story of the retail space. So this fella Tom comes along and says, "Hey, my family owns this giant building. Would you like to rent it and move your store in there?"
Pretty much. And then it ended up being quite a stretch from what the rent was that we were paying in our little 700 square foot place. I mean, this property that we're on now is right on Route 30. I mean, it's tens of thousands of cars drive by there every day. So it's a pretty desirable retail location. So in sort of to help offset the rent situation, I ended up just deciding to partner with him, and the rent's a lot cheaper now.
And has that worked out? Because a lot of times partnerships don't work out that well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my stepfather told me, this was before Tom was even in the picture, so nothing against Tom specifically, but about how a partner, because I was always wanting to expand and go bigger, and he was always a little hesitant on the whole partnership idea, but it's been working out pretty well. I mean, we've grown so much. Tom's also quit the railroad at this point.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so.
Kelly, it's where he's located is the Lincoln Highway.
Lincoln Highway in York, and it's a beautiful building.
Yeah, and it was the first transcontinental road for automobiles in the United States. Dedicated in 1913, it winds its way over 3,000 miles between New York City and San Francisco.
That's right.
And you know why we?
How far would the hobby shop be from San Francisco? Then?
Yeah, actually,
I don't know. You'd have to go look.
No. You know what? I think I'm more interested.
Tom is about 53 miles from him.
Okay.
I think I'd like to know how far it is from the hobby shop to Cheyenne, Wyoming, because that's where the Union Pacific has the big boy.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
Can
true.
You find that out for us, Kelly?
No, I can't go that far.
Oh, now you're being.
How about from the hobby shop to Crater, PA?
Yeah.
It's not on the map. It's gone. There's a big hole. It's got burn marks around it.
So it must have been kind of blow your hair back kind of over the next couple of years when you moved into this big location on the on a main thoroughfare. Doesn't matter that it's the Lincoln Highway. It's a main thoroughfare on the eastern seaboard. I mean, that must have kind of blown your hair back when you started getting all kinds of business, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great location. I mean, we get people traveling a lot during the summer. They go to like Lancaster, visit Strasburg, and then they'll drive to Gettysburg, and we get a lot of drive-by traffic. And then we also have a pretty large local customer base as well.
So, John,
yeah, they also have a lot of railroads nearby, tourist lines.
Oh, do they?
The Mom Pa.
Okay.
Stewartstown. North Central Railway of York.
We should go there on the Jerry Britton bus tour.
And then there's the Hanover Junction train station and New Freedom Station.
Did you get your tickets booked yet, Kelly, for coming to Tomstock?
I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm sorry.
Why not? I
have a commitment. I'm really sorry.
What kind of commitment?
It's a commitment with the park.
That does not count.
Oh, it's got to count.
What is it? A birthday party?
No, it's a big party. It's a
party. You're not coming. You're not coming to with Tomstock because of a party. Nobody else can run the party.
Isn't Tomstock like a party, 4-day party too?
Yeah, it's like a 4-day party.
Yeah, like what?
Well, we need you to run this party then.
Yeah, need you. This party won't be a party if you're not there.
All right, I will discuss it with the treasurer again.
You don't. Yeah, you just come. Everything else will be looked after. You got to think of yourself as like an attraction.
That's true.
You get to put him in a cage.
Yeah.
You can touch them, but
touch them.
You can't. But you can't feed them.
No, don't feed me. I'll get out.
Hey, no big. We'll get him there and do a dunk tank with him.
Ooh.
That's not. We're not doing that because somebody would think, hey, let's get Lionel in the dunk tank, and that we're not. Lionel's not doing anything.
Lionel, don't do that.
No, because right now Lionel can barely stand, so Lionel ain't doing none of that. That's what this whole. Hey, okay, so then the whole thing takes off, but now I'm really interested in your. You got to try for us, Ryan. I know it's your first time on the show. And I know being around us is scary because we're idiots, and I speak for everybody, like nobody here's doesn't nobody here's prepared to. They all understand where they fit in.
Nobody's arguing that point.
Yeah, exactly. You can't argue the obvious.
No.
Like, can you give us a little bit about your philosophy of? Like in this day and age of, oh my God, we're losing all our. I'm feeling that as this show goes along and I get older, it's just going to be cranky Lionel irritating the crap out of everybody.
On this episode of Mother's Life, Lionel will irritate the living shart out of Mr. Jingles.
Yeah. So I had Mr. Jingles on with me when we interviewed Shane Wilson of Scale Trains, and anyways, I had him come on. And all he wanted to talk to him about was the closing down of brick and mortar stores. And I'm thinking, you're talking to the guy that doesn't want to sell the brick and mortar stores. He's trying to eliminate them. It's like talking to Darth Vader, It's like,
That's Darth Vader. What can we do to help out the Rebel Alliance?
Yeah. You're kind of killing all the stormtroopers. Yeah, I know.
Well, we actually are one of the few Scale Trains dealers.
And how did you manage?
Oh, wow.
How did you manage that?
Well, I didn't even know it was a thing at first that there was. When I just always wanted to bring in new lines, and so we applied and we became a dealer, and that has come up quite a bit about the limited retailers that Scale Trains has in my duties as industry relations.
But
their stuff is just awesome for N Scale. I don't have any experience with HO, but man. They're beautiful. They run great. They sound great.
Yeah, 150 items of Scale Train, which is great.
Wow.
How many items? Well, okay, Kelly.
Oh, you want to ask the question?
How many items?
I don't know if you want to.
How many items of Rapido trains do they have? Make up a number.
Track to model railroading fun.
Yeah, make up a number, buddy. It's showbiz. It's showbiz. Keep in mind, it's showbiz. There's only one. There's only one number that can work.
149.
151.
151. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. 149.
I'm sorry. They got a lot of neat stuff
of Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
And looking on the website, it says 1,470 results for Rapido trains.
Oh, thank you, Bruce.
Hey.
there's a lot of them.
Yeah. This is a bit, right, Kelly? Joe put you up to this 10 years ago.
So wait, I'm trying to catch up. So 51 was not the correct answer?
No, he said there was 100. He said there was 150 items for scaled trains.
Oh, okay.
So I said there's the number, right? The only number that would work is something above 150.
Yeah.
For Rapido. Boom. Okay, but I'm interested in your philosophy, and let's set the record straight. Scale Trains is a fine company. They're good people. They make a fine product. So we have nothing against Scale Trains in particular. This just happens. The discussion comes up because they choose not to sell to the majority of retailers, and you just happen to be one of the few retailers that they do sell to.
Yep, that's right.
So what is your philosophy on life? On like, how did you it seems kind of like I would describe this as because it was just recently the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and I watched the 1962 movie called The Longest Day, starring John Wayne, Henry Ford, Peter Lawford, blah 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 blah, Eddie Albert, on and on and on. It seems like a guy in your position is kind of like storming the beaches of Normandy, because you're kind of going into the fire when everybody else is running from the fire.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I've seen so many like everyone else have been dropping away, but like I said in the beginning, I would just want a place like that, like I could go to when I was a kid with my grandfather. I mean, that was mainly the reason why I'm determined to keep the store going and have that available for the local customers. And I think that's mostly the most important thing to me of keeping the brick and mortar store going.
Right. And it seems to be working. And John, so like, where, like, how often do you get over there?
Well, for me, going to White Rose Hobbies is like Norm going to the bar at Cheers, that I walk in the door and they all know me. But yeah, I'm usually there probably once every 2 weeks just to be safe. So, for a while, I was going once a week. But yeah, they all know me. And it's funny. Sometimes people ask them questions and I'm in the store, which means then I'd say, hey, John, you can answer this better than I can. Can you take care of this for me? And, wind up doing that thing. But like I said, what Ryan has done with White Rose Hobbies is great. It's a well-stocked shop. You can get all kinds of stuff from glue to paint, ready to run models to kits, and everything in between. And Ryan will tell you, it's kind of funny that when he expanded into the new location and started carrying the remote control stuff too, that, literally half the shop is model trains and half the shop is remote control and models and other stuff. And there's kind of a playful banter competition between how much of the shop makes money on the model train side compared to the RC side. That the RC rigs are really neat and really cool and fairly expensive. And of course you can customize the crap out of them, and parts break all the time. So you have to come in and do stuff. So yeah, they're in there a lot of times spending money, but not the kind of money you spend when you drop, when you're buying, an ABA set of Broadway Limited, locomotives with sound and all that stuff in it. And it's kind of been funny to hear them go back and forth about what side of the shop makes more money. In the end, it's all profit for Ryan and it's great for him. But it's kind of funny to hear that playful competition to see, for people to think what makes more money in the hobby. And in the end, it helps everybody. It helps everybody. It's just a great place to be. Ryan and I talked too, that it's that whole retail experience. I remember going into shops as a kid. You see that glass display case, and there'd be so many locomotives that be nose out. That's all you can see. And that's what it's like when you walk in the rides and you see the display case along the wall. There's the display case. There's some really cool history stuff going on, but for all the retail locomotives, they're all nose out because there's just so much in there. And they have a nice layout going on. They have an N scale layout and an HO layout in the shop that you can take a look at, see the latest and greatest products being demonstrated and run. And then, if you want to play with the RC stuff, there's a nationally rated crawler course for remote control cars outside, and also a asphalt course as well. So you can get the whole hobby shop experience by visiting one location.
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty hard not to buy other stuff. It seems. Go ahead.
We do have customers that they do pretty much everything we have. They'll buy RC cars, trains, model kits, across the board. So
should I bring one of my crawlers down then when we come down on the cheese ball tour?
Yeah, bring it.
I think absolutely you should. Yes.
Okay.
Now,
so you guys,
just before we go ahead, let's explain to people what a crawler is.
So they're 4-wheel drive.
If this is Brad crawling across the parking lot, I'm not interested in that at all.
I know you don't mean that.
Especially if you have the plumber's pants going.
All right, now you're starting to gross me out.
Yeah.
And I won't even see it.
Yeah. Okay, so what is crawlers?
So they're 1/10 scale to give you an idea of the size. They're mostly always 4-wheel drive, and they're geared pretty low, so they can go over very steep terrain, rocks, and we have. I think it's expanded pretty recently, but the measurement I'll go with is at least 7,000 square feet, and several triaxle dump truck loads of dirt and rocks and everything. And we built this course over the last, since it was a couple years that we were there. So I would say at least 5 years till it's got to the point it's at now. And people, when we have competitions, people come from New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and some even farther places. But it's a pretty cool thing when we have events. And basically the competitions, they're scored and timed, and there's certain ways you have to go through the course, and that changes, every time we mix it up.
Right. So, Brad, do you have a Red Cat crawler?
No, I have, Axial is the company that made mine.
Oh, okay. And I was going to ask Axial, but I went with Red Cat.
Hey, Brad, do you have an AML sticker on your crawler?
I don't yet, but that's a great idea.
And coincidentally,
notice how he quickly recovered.
Yeah, that was nice.
Coincidentally, Axial and Athearn are both owned by the same parent company.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let me ask you my favorite question that I like to ask about, and we'll move on to the national, because there's like way too much stuff to talk to you about. But so
yeah, we missed out one major thing so far I can think of.
Okay, what's that?
The Bethlehem Car Works.
Well, yeah, I was going to come to that.
All right, I figured you might.
Lionel, did you see the picture of the racetrack?
I have.
Yeah,
but this is a model railroading podcast, so
I know, but it's RC cars.
Imagine if you came with us, you could get to see it in person and everything.
No, I know.
I'd even let you drive my crawler on the course.
There you go.
You want to do that? Like those airplanes that crash, the model ones. You don't want that.
Well, I don't think crawlers go in the air, Kelly.
No, if me, I would get it in the air.
They don't go fast enough.
Kelly, don't go outside the track.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be going up the Lincoln Highway.
That being said, bringing this up with the crawlers and competitions, as a model railroad retail purchaser, I will say that when I know Ryan has events going on at the shop, I try and check the schedule, because if you try and show up there trying to buy model train stuff on a day that there's a competition, there's almost no way you will get a parking spot.
Yeah. Geez.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is packed.
You're lucky.
All right. Is there anything scheduled for the day of the cheese ball run?
Yeah. Yeah. What day is the cheese? That's on a Friday, though, so I can't imagine there'll be anything scheduled on a Friday.
Oh, should be pretty good for that.
I'm going to buy an engineer's hat when I'm there.
Yeah.
A toddler's.
I'm looking to see if there's a Dairy Queen nearby.
Well, it might be. Well, I'm sure don't worry about it. We'll find it. No, why don't you just worry about getting yourself there? I don't worry about the Dairy Queen. I'm sure the park will survive. It would be a good experience for the park to find out what it's like for you not to be there. They'll probably get a bunch. They'll probably get a bunch of new members.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Oh yeah. So me personally, I think the hobby's growing like crazy. That's like my mantra. That's what I talk about all the time. Is I think this hobby's growing like crazy. Ever since I started this podcast, like there's no way we could ever interview all the people that need to be interviewed. I was just talking to a guy before we started this podcast, Norm, who lives in the Michigan area and near Detroit, and he has this fantastic 3-rail O-scale layout. It is fantastic. It's done in the Franklin and South Manchester. The modeling is that spectacular. The weathering is that spectacular. And he has this great YouTube channel. So I've been, talking to him to get him on the podcast. And like the hobby to me is just massive. So where do you see the hobby after how many years you've been in business now? Roughly.
Yeah, like I said, it's about 16 years, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to insult you, but you're starting to sound like Kelly now.
Oh, jeez. That was rude.
No,
well, it's like how long you been in business? I don't need in like 15 years and 4 days and 37.
It's definitely. I mean, there's new stuff coming out every month. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with. I mean, every month there's hundreds of different SKUs announced by the various manufacturers, and keeping up, trying to take pre-orders for everything gets to be quite the task. So there's definitely no shortage of new things coming out. Yeah, that's for sure.
And the hobby, I think, is growing like crazy. You must in the 15 years, have you seen your sales increase or decrease?
Well, I mean, I would say the last 4 years have definitely been our biggest years ever. I mean, COVID was huge to the hobby industry in large, but we've maintained the growth since that explosion, and it's still increasing, I would say, for sure. I mean, it's enabled us to grow and expand. I think having the diverse product lines that we have has definitely helped too, but the stores that are strictly model trains are growing just as well, I would say.
Okay. So let's get to this here. You're the chairman in so how involved are you in this? What show is it you guys have in Las Vegas?
So it's the NRSA. NRSA is how everyone the acronym is pronounced, NRSA, but it's a show for retailers like us to go out there and meet the companies, face to face. They'll set up booths and everything. So it's not open to the public. It's retailers only. But all the major, I mean, Woodland Scenics usually comes. KD comes a few times every other year. So we're trying to get more railroad companies to come to the show, because that's one thing they've tasked me with is to try and help grow the model railroading segment, because it's, as hobby stores go across the country, the model trains are probably the smallest segment of hobby, but we're it is daunting for a shop that's not familiar with model trains, because there's a lot to it. I mean, there's so many different products to carry that that's what we're trying to. We had Walthers at our show the last 2 years, and Walthers put on a nice presentation to the shops that are, to try to entice them to get into model trains. They came up with a planogram that if your store can spare about 16 to 20 feet of shelf space, these are the products that you should carry to get started in model railroading. So we're doing stuff like that. And we also have monthly Zoom meetings with all the members are able to attend, and they're also recorded. They can watch them later. But, we have different companies come on and do presentations. We have other stuff like how to improve your retail store. We'll have different presenters. We've had a series of presenters, or a series of presentations from companies that more or less like a business coaching type thing. So our members can all try to improve. It's just a good community of really good stores that all work together, kind of a thing.
And does it feel like have we reached a point where we're getting to the point where we're stopped losing stores, and the stores that have survived this switch to online mania have managed to survive and now are starting to thrive again?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are trying, I think, are surviving just fine. I think the ones that have bailed out are mainly just because there haven't been a great succession plan for the business, and like, for example, the owner's kids want nothing to do with it, that kind of a thing. And I think for the stores that want to be in business and want to have a brick and mortar store, I think they're doing just fine.
Okay. So you say model railroading is probably the smallest segment of the NERSA. Have you ever heard of NERPM? Because it sounds very...
I have. I was just there.
It sounds very much like NERSA.
Yeah, and the acronym for the New Haven Railway and Technical... I forget how it goes. They say NERSA or something, I believe.
Yeah, so. That's our buddy Chris Adams.
Yep. I was hanging out with him last week.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Did he buy you dinner?
He did not.
He should have. Chris, you should have bought him dinner. I know Chris is listening because Chris listens all the time.
At least got to get him a pizza.
Yeah, there you go. Why is that?
Well, when I went to see his layout, he bought me a pizza.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Like just for you yourself?
No, there was enough for everybody that were there. It was just him and his wife and me.
Oh, so just the three of you?
Yeah, but I had to vacuum the layout.
Yeah, but Kelly, did he at least run any trains for you? Because I know when other people show up, he doesn't always run trains.
Yeah, we ran trains because we had to find out where all the spots that I needed to clean the track.
Yeah, who's going to vacuum Queso's place if you don't go?
I know.
We'd have a contest.
What? Who sucks the best?
Oh, jeez. Bullhorn inserted here.
I don't see any.
No, this is that was okay.
It was okay.
It was inconspicuous.
You're not going to hear it on any of the other more highball podcasts.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not gold,
but you will get a chance to fall asleep while you're listening to those ones.
For banging your head on the dashboard.
Okay, let's talk about Bethlehem Car Works because this is a company that you've just purchased.
Yeah, actually, just before Springfield this year, I purchased it in January, and it's been, because I'm not busy enough, I've decided I should buy another company, and it's going to get there. It's taken a lot to sort out. I mean, it was 30 years of parts kind of thrown in bins and drawers and stuff that weren't super organized, but John knew where everything was. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, and I didn't get to work with him directly to really learn the business from him. We just had a few conversations over the phone, and I went up there this January with a 28-foot trailer and just kind of threw everything in there and brought it back to the shop, and I'm still sorting things out. I mean, it's getting there, but there's a lot to go through.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, let's clarify. That's John Green. I'm not dead.
Right. John Green, yes, John Green, who many people that went to a lot of the RPM meets knew him pretty well.
Yeah, because Bethlehem Car Works manufactures a line of HO scale. I'm reading this off your website. HO scale heavyweight passenger cars, trucks, decals, and parts. BCW products are manufactured using parts that are injection molded plastic, laser cut wood, resin sides and parts, and 3D parts. So why did you feel that you just didn't want to see it disappear?
Well, it was the reason I was even interested in it. Like last year, I approached John about carrying his products in the hobby shop because he had some interesting passenger cars that just weren't made otherwise. And I just became more interested in passenger trains. That I would primarily been interested in freight modeling, and something just changed, and then I thought it would be something I'd be interested in continuing. But I will say for sure, I wasn't planning on it to be this way. I was hoping to work with him for a few years to really learn how to do it all, and it's been a challenge. I have a lot of people that are helping me with it, that worked with him, stuff like that. And it's just there's just a lot. I mean, John will tell you how many he's seen it. He's seen all the stuff I'm sorting through. I mean, it's definitely not easy. And
it's like a room full of mono railroad parts with you not knowing what it is, kind of exploded.
Wow. Yeah,
and then like I showed up at the barn the week after everything arrived, and they're there, and there's the little parts bins that people have screws and all that stuff in. There were a ton of these, and you just pull one open, and it's these etched brass sprues, and nothing's labeled.
Yeah,
it's insane. But Ryan's done. It's funny. I'll show up the weeks after Ryan got everything initially. I would show up, and he'd be listening to AML on his Bluetooth speaker while sorting parts in the room. So yeah,
talk about double torture.
Yeah. So Ryan, just to give an example, because I looked at it, how long do you think it would be before you start putting out the Reading passenger cars and baggage car?
Man, I get this question daily.
Yeah.
So I have all the parts for them except for a few things, and I'm torn between re-releasing them as they were and improving them, and that's been my biggest delay on getting stuff back out, because I don't want to just settle and release stuff back out. But I'm almost there. The Reading cars, I have a few hundred sides, roofs, and floors for them. It's just a matter of getting the rest of the detail parts in order, and getting trucks and everything produced. Yeah.
Is that the same with all the other road names? The same situation that you've got bits and pieces?
Well, so yeah, they're all different. They're all a little bit different. And the way it works, the way John did the kits was he had like a checklist, right, of what goes in each box.
Yep.
But the hang up for me on that is it'll just say car sides, roof, vent, some of this stuff's pretty explanatory. 18-inch grab irons, okay, those we know what they are. But a lot of the little bits are kind of like, I've actually been collecting kits, if I can find unbuilt kits, just so I can actually reference what's supposed to go in some of them.
Yeah, wow.
And there's a lot of newer projects in the works as well, which is mainly the one-piece body 3D printed cars, and that's what... going forward, most of the newer kits are going to be done that way. And the Reading cars, I've been debating if I want to release them with the existing parts that I have, or retool them in a way to kind of improve upon them a little bit.
Now, did John have injection molding machines, or did he have somebody do it for him?
Various companies he worked. He didn't really produce much on site.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the place he was using, I forget the name of it. I think it was actually somewhere up in Massachusetts that was injection molding for him. But he made a million. He must have had them, so many of them made when he had those made. And I think that was one of his first kits. I want to say that kit's probably close to 30 years old.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to update it a little bit. I think it deserves a refresher. And also, I just don't have quite enough of all the components. I haven't produced a few, like the box that goes, the battery box and stuff like that. I have reproduced, so I could probably get a limited amount of them out there. But I think going forward, I do want to continue to put some of that. I thought about calling them like the legacy line, or legacy kits.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I have about a truckload of branch line passenger parts as well. I mean, the third floor, luckily we have a third floor of this barn. If the people who saw the booth at Springfield, I always use that as a reference. So if you fill the inner part of our booth with branch line parts, I mean, if you picture how much space that would take up, that's how much I have of branch line parts.
Wow.
Jeez. And but a lot of them are like, we probably wouldn't use them in our kits, but we need some of the components. So, but people buy the parts. I mean, I sell the parts almost every day. It's just a matter of sorting through them. I mean, there's a lot.
You know what you remind me of, Ryan, which is really cool. I'm trying to actually pay you a compliment. However, because you listen to the show, you know it's a crapshoot how it comes out.
There are a lot of left-handed compliments that get handed out around here, aren't there?
All right, I'm ready.
Did anybody hear me say, "Hey, Professor, what's your opinion on this?"
No, I interjected all on my own.
I appreciate that. You seem to me you remind me of the very first shop I ever went to was a shop in Toronto, very, very famous model railroad shop called George's Trains. And it was in downtown Toronto. And this guy the very first time I ever dealt with George's Trains, it was in his basement. And then he moved to a store in Toronto. And then he, expanded to the store beside him. And it was just like, you sound like you're like a real throwback in the hobby. Like you sound to me like exactly what the hobby's all about. Like the Bethlehem Car Works thing, it sounds like it's a bit overwhelming, but you don't care because you just want to make it work, and you sell parts like you were just saying to Kelly, you sell parts from branch line trains, and it's you sound like this is the reason the hobby works. If you're somebody that actually gives a crap and cares about what you're doing, it's a really cool thing to be a part of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Bethlehem Car Works thing specifically is something I'm passionate about. I love doing the research part of it. I mean, I always tell people if I could redo school, I'd be a lot more awesome at it now because I've just developed so many more skills. But I'm doing a few new projects, and I've decided to also think about writing a book on some of the projects because I just have enjoyed researching them so much. And it's going to be a while till everything gets going with it. But I'm definitely glad I was able to acquire it and everything. Because there's a lot of stuff that I think people do still want that kind of a product, and not everyone is, wants the ready to run.
Mm.
Yeah, like I see this hobby as being like you're the ideal guy to talk to about. Like you talk about, you're involved with the NERSA. Excuse me. You talk about, how you're involved with the National Retail Hobby Stores Association and all that. But I don't get the sense that remote control stores and remote control hobby has the depth and the dedication that model railroading has. Like, I understand it's a fun hobby and people enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with the people that enjoy it. And I know why they would enjoy it, because cars are fun. But model railroading to me seems to just have some sort of intellectual depth that other hobbies don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're a carpenter, an electrician, an artist. I mean, all of the above. It's there's not a lot like it, really.
No, and I think that there's no way the hobby's ever going to go anywhere. It's only ever going to get bigger and better because now we're all connected and everything. So I mean, anyways, you just seem like a really cool guy that's like a total throwback to the old days, and it's kind of exciting to talk to you about it because.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of the feel I'm going for, actually. So that's nice to hear.
There you go. And we're gonna meet each other in person when we come on Jerry Britton's The Cheese Ball Run. You know what I'm thinking, guys, for next year's Springfield. Obviously, Lauren James and the Otter Valley Railroad is our first love in model retailing, and so is Midwest Model Railroad. But I think we've got to add White Rose Hobbies to the family.
Definitely.
I'm thinking next year at Springfield. Well, we've decided, Ryan, that what we're going to do is hand out, have cheese balls and little paper cups.
Hors d'oeuvres.
Just like they do at Costco. They have, and we're going to have somebody out front with a tray handing out cheese balls, And I think at some point, whoever is doing it should go over and stand by White Rose Hobbies and hand out cheese balls.
Mm.
Yeah, we did actually hand we did hand some out this past show, and I'm thinking after the fact that now I'm after we started giving them out, I started envisioning people running around and just picking up trains, and there was going to be cheese ball finger marks all over everyone's trains. Yeah.
We have that covered though. What's that little device that hard part was going to bring?
No,
yes, I remember that. I forget what it was called, but it's like the chopsticks for
the gaming chopsticks,
Snackums or something.
No, it's called Snacktiv.
Yeah, Snacktiv. That's it.
Yeah.
So we might have to provide some of those.
Because you can get them if you get the Snacktiv Light finger chopsticks for gamers. This is a thing. It's and you can get the 4-piece neon bundle for $15.
Well, there you go.
Wow, you just can't beat that.
No. And they're actually a thing where you actually work them with your fingers and you eat cheese balls or whatever it is you're eating.
Yeah. Sometimes people say that model railroaders kind of lead pathetic lives.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what kind of a pathetic life would you be leading if you have to worry about eating cheese balls while you're screwing around on your computer playing a game?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Oh, man.
You're doing iRacing like I do. And you're in some you can't be reaching over and having a cheese ball while you're halfway through a race. You got to concentrate.
No, you'd be into the wall in no time. Right?
Exactly. Which reminds me, we got to get an update about our race car that we sponsor.
Oh yes,
our little buddy Scooter seems to have disappeared off the planet because he's supposed to be going by Buc-ee's any day now. So I sent him a text saying, "When are you going by Buc-ee's?" Thinking I could finally solve this problem. I'll meet you at Buc-ee's. But nothing. Uh-huh. I'm not getting anything. I'm thinking
is he back on terra firma, or is he still on cruise?
No, I just said we haven't heard from him. What did you find out?
It would say he was still on the liner and they can't get it on the highway.
Why don't you find out? What are you asking me for?
I thought you knew everything. Sorry.
Boy. Even if I did, would I be telling you? I mean, come on. Well, how'd you make out going to Todd's house?
Good. We had. I just was there long enough to drop off a module, but I talked to Todd for a little bit, and then we had to get home.
Okay.
Are you talking or were you talking about the operating session a couple weeks ago?
No, yesterday you went to meet.
Yeah. We went out to picked up a module, T-Track module for a friend of his, and dropped it off.
That's
at Todd's place.
That's how your life has changed. You're now driving around the countryside, picking up modules and begging people to build them for you.
Actually, the guy that we bought it from, or that the guy that makes them, put it together for Jim, so it's already assembled.
Who's Jim?
Jim is Todd's friend who wanted a T-Track module.
Oh, so it wasn't for Todd at all.
No, but Todd now wants one too. He thinks so. So I'm going to have to run. Moly. I'm going to have to run back now. The one that I think, well, I don't know what size Todd's going to want, but I'm not starting a T-Track delivery business, if that's what
it sounds like. Hey,
I was going to order some.
I'll drive one out to Medford.
What about, why don't we ask Ryan if he has T-Track modules in his store?
Yeah. So we do actually sell them. Cado makes a little starter pack that comes with the basics of what you need to get started. So we don't have any displayed like built up or anything, but we do sell them.
Can you explain to me what they are? Because I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. I just stare at them and stare. I whenever Brad starts talking to me about them, I just glaze over. I don't get it. It's some 1 foot by 2 foot. But
maybe that's why you don't understand it. You don't pay attention when I try to explain.
Well,
I've even read the specs, and I don't understand why they're not like full units of full inches. If you got like 12 inches and 3/16 and stuff like that, like really, this is the best you can come up with.
There's something
make it so people can throw a tape measure on and go between the big numbers, not all the little numbers.
I know. Well, and there's something I haven't heard for a few decades. A high school teacher saying to me, "You're not paying attention while I'm explaining this to you."
I can't believe anybody ever said that to you.
Did you have a flashback there?
Yeah, I did.
Hold on and give me some plywood.
No, I don't think he's going to get plywood.
All right. Well, I think this went pretty good. Is there anything else we should talk about, Ryan, for your first interview? You're going to be on the podcast again because you're going to have to keep us updated on the world of hobby retail, Bethlehem Car Works, branch line trains, inertia, yada, yada, yada. So you're going to be on again, but is there anything else you would like?
Actually, here, Lionel, I have a fun question for Ryan that I'm involved with some of this answer in some degree. So Ryan, how often do you have somebody come in and say, "Hey, I have this collection, I have this layout. What can you do with it?" Because now I helped you relocate a layout into your current basement, but how often does that actually happen?
Unfortunately, more than I'd like it to, because that usually doesn't mean something too good happened. But yeah, I mean, we buy collections. I mean, we get stuff. I mean, it's not every day, but it's almost every day. Well, someone will come in and try to sell me something, but the bigger estates do come up from time to time. And yeah, we did I bought an estate of one of my customers, and I ended up liking the layout so much I decided to move the whole thing to my house. So that's a whole nother story. It's a layout kit. Yeah, we disassembled it and to manage to get it out of the guy's house. And now I have sections of layout in my basement. And I would be willing to say that it's probably more difficult than just building one from scratch.
I would think so. And how big was this layout?
It's about 20 by 20 roughly, and it was double decked with a helix and all that. So it's quite a.
And it looked really cool, all assembled.
It did until I let John have a Sawzall.
Nice job.
No. Well, actually, Lionel, it's worse than that. It was 20 by 20, but it had 2-foot aisles.
Yeah, it's a little tight.
So when he gave me and one of my other friends his Sawzall, we're like, well, this should be a jigsaw puzzle. So we can't do straight cuts. You got to make it that everything comes back together, and you know how it goes. So you just put a little curve here and say this is B, part B. So B goes to B, and maybe not everything was as straightish as we thought, but
And this is from a guy who was going to build a 4-level 30 by 15 foot layout or something.
Yeah, but that was from scratch. This is taking the existing layout and
but I'm thinking Ryan should have said to himself, do I want a guy helping me that was going to build a 4-level layout?
Yeah, well, that's a great point.
He was a little desperate for help, though. So.
Yeah. That's obvious. I think that's obvious.
If I was asking John, I had to be pretty desperate.
There you go.
Well, that being said, one of the fun anecdotes that Ryan and I talked about, though, this is probably the only time.
Hang on. You tell the anecdote, and we have a rule here, and I know you know the rule, and I know both you know the rule. But you tell the anecdote, and the rest of us will decide if it's fun or not.
Okay, so we cut apart the layout. We put it on a trailer. Ryan hauled the trailer, but how often could you have it that the model railroad that is being hauled on the trailer crosses the actual railroad that's being modeled on the layout?
Bruce, you want to? What's your opinion?
I'd say it's marginally adequate.
Yeah, but what is it? Marginally fun? Is that what you're saying? Fun adequate?
Yeah, I would say slightly on the low side of marginally fun.
I would say, are there any pictures?
I would say, did I ask you, Kelly?
Well, do that too.
I was getting to you. Can you wait? Can you not follow the script?
Can you not
follow the script?
You didn't give me a script. I'm in the dark here.
Brad, what did you think?
I'm with Bruce. Maybe a little bit above low, but maybe medium, marginally funny.
Okay, Kelly. Now you can give us your opinion.
I need to see pictures of it actually going across the cross.
Well, there are no pictures. You have to deal with what you got.
I know.
This is like the old days when people didn't have access to recording everything photographically. You had to take their word picture and believe it or not.
Are you sure? Are you sure, Kelly? There weren't more members when you got there.
Oh. Actually, there probably were, and they've just moved, died off.
Yeah, because it's like you got to see. No.
Actually, there's some people are coming back, which is great.
No, there you go.
I have a question for Ryan. Just curious, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but we probably could save it for the next one.
We always have time for you, Kelly.
Yeah. What is this lease to own?
So actually,
what's that? Hang on. You got to explain it to us first.
Yeah. So there's we have several different options now. That was another thing with the retail hobby show that came about. They offer this service, and basically what it is, you could basically finance your purchase. It's kind of a thing like that. Instead of doing layaway, you can actually just walk out the door with it, and then you deal with this company to make the payments. And
where's that? I don't see that on your. Where do you see that on your website?
On that one he's talking about specifically, I believe, is on the very top. There's a green banner.
There's a green banner.
Shop without credit today with ACIMA.
So that's to buy stuff from you, or to buy stuff for a vendor or a store.
No, anyone can walk in and apply for it.
So White Rose Hobbies, lease to own. Did you know we offer a lease to own option? White Rose Hobbies is partnered with ACIMA to offer you the alternative no credit option to lease to own. After setting up your lease, contact ACIM to learn about their 90-day early purchase option. We are working to have this integrated with our online checkout. So somehow people can, if they buy a locomotive from that's Rapido Trains.
You're fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's HO, the fast track is Rapido.
And it's a $400 locomotive or a $350 locomotive. They can lease to own it.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know what this does, Lionel? This opens up a whole new TV series, Model Railroad Repo.
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's out of my hands once they sign off on it. There is some fees involved with it. We don't always encourage it, but it is an option. If someone, instead of doing the traditional layaway where, it might take them a month or so to pay it off, they can actually walk out the front door with the item. And there's so many other options. I think most websites now have, we also have like Shop Pay, which is like a pay in four kind of a thing. There's PayPal Pay in four. There's a lot of options out there. Some of them are fairly reasonable. But it's just an alternative to the layaway where it's sitting on our shelf in the closet for, a month or two.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say mostly more the RC people use it than the train people, actually, but it is an option.
So that company goes to their house with a RC tow truck to get
Well, I did. I asked the guy. I asked the guy what they do like in that situation, and so say you buy it. Let's use the RC car example. So say you buy a new RC car, you take it home, and you don't like it. Well, they can't bring it back to me because at that point it's owned by the ACIMA. They take it back and no questions asked, and apparently they have a big auction to their employees every year to buy all this stuff back if the people didn't pay for that they returned or whatever. So
wow,
interesting.
So if you buy an RC item or any item for $500, cost of the lease service is $600, total of payments is $1,100, the initial payment is $50. And you pay monthly $87.50 a month. Wow, we should get into the lease to own business.
Yeah, if you don't pay it off within that 90 days, that's why I put that on there. It's kind of brutal, but
wow, that's interesting. That was a good question, Kelly.
Yeah. Mostly, like I said, every major retailer,
sure,
it depends on your platform. There's some kind of alternative, but it's kind of with our new system we just switched over to. Our traditional layaway has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
So there's so many options now. With it's nice because it takes it off of us and it gives the customer flexibility to walk out with something that they might have to otherwise save up a while to get.
Right. But if you do it in 6 months, it's only $337 to lease it. You do it in 5 months. Okay, so there's like a sliding scale here and everything. Okay, that's cool.
I'm just thinking, they do take mileage off for the lease.
Well, no, that's just silly. Wow.
RC cars don't have odometers on them.
Well, some of the trains we sell do actually. The MTH trains, they have it. You can check the mileage.
No.
Really?
Wow.
Wow. The MTH Protosound 2 and Protosound 3. So yeah, if you have a MTH DCS system, you can pull up the scale mileage. Yeah.
Wow. That's like when I went to see a hockey game, a Florida Panthers game last year. They had a thing. Each guy has a thing. He's wearing some sort of transformer, and it'll show you how far the guy has skated in the game.
Wow.
Hey, Kelly, what's your social insurance number?
Oh, yeah, right.
Hey, Lionel.
Yeah.
So does that also show you where he skates on the ice?
Where? No, it just said the distance.
Oh, because I'm sure with those Maple Leafs goalies, you'll just see them stay in one spot on the ice, right?
Put their legs apart.
Kelly, what's your social insurance number?
I'm not going to give it to you.
Why not?
Because it was on the air.
You don't trust me?
I trust you, but I don't trust it being on the air and somebody else hearing it.
Oh, and nobody else is listening.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So just what is it? Just give me the first 3 digits.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I thought it was 867.
All right, that's it. We're done. We've had too much fun. What did you think, Ryan, for your first time out of the shoot?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a lot more I could ramble on for hours probably. So
well, then let's plan on doing that.
Yeah.
You plan on come back here and talk about the model railroad industry and the hobby industry is in particular, and we'll plan on having you on. So you know what? We'll have you and Lauren James on and Stephen Atwell one night.
Wow, that would be something.
That'd be a show. That's a show right there.
That's a show right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do talk to him occasionally.
Who?
To Lauren.
Okay.
Yeah. We've sold some of his products, so he's been texting me the last few weeks about buying more, which I do want to do. I've just
is he? Has he been bugging you to buy more of his products?
Yeah, he has been. But
hey, Lauren, you've been bugging him to buy more of your products.
It's okay. I do want to buy some more of them.
No, that's okay. It's just a little. That's an inside joke for me and Lauren.
Okay.
Can you understand what he's talking about?
Who, Lauren?
Yeah, because he talks in a lot of cliches and words and. Kelly,
yeah, I can keep up with him pretty good, I'd say.
Kelly, are you moving your microphone?
Nope, I don't have my hand near it.
Oh, okay.
That was me. Sorry.
What are you doing? Did you fall off the chair or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. The dial thing that holds the microphone in place came loose and it was flopping around.
Wait a minute. So why were you playing with it to make it loose?
Yeah. That's Kelly.
Well, I was playing with it to tighten it back up.
No. Mine's loose too. Mine. Yeah. I got to get. This is the equipment I have in the Southern studio. Is all the old stuff from the main studio. So I got to upgrade some of my stuff down here.
Like the garbage can is repurposed too, right?
Yeah, people were at the poker game. People were asking me why I drive. A lot of times I drive to Florida. Number one, I enjoy the drive. I enjoy driving to Florida. It's just a fun drive, and it's easy, and you can relax and listen to podcasts and yada yada yada. So I enjoy it. And so then they were saying to me, "Why'd you drive to Florida?" And I said, "Well, actually, I wanted to bring a garbage can down." And they're like,
and then they kind of give you that look at the RCA dog looking into the speaker.
Yeah, exactly. Huh? And they're like, well, you can buy them at Lowe's. And I said, here's the deal. And I was trying to explain it to them. We had a really nice garbage can that you could wheel out to the road. And about 2 years ago, my township decided that they were going to give us all these garbage cans where the truck comes along and sticks out the arms and picks it up and dumps it into there's more to this story, actually, and dumps it into the truck. So then the garbage can I had became, what's the word?
Surplus.
Surplus,
yeah. It became extinct. And so I had it in my garage, and the one I have in Florida is one of these cheaper ones, and the top keeps flopping off it. And I'm thinking, geez, I should have that. I still got that garbage can that I had up north. I should, one of these days. So I've been sitting in my garage for 2 years, and finally I thought, you know what? I'm going to take that garbage can to Florida. And so I did, and you're right. Everybody's right. It seems kind of goofy to do it, but I didn't want to throw it out. It was a good garbage can.
Your garbage can wasn't garbage.
No, exactly. I wanted to reutilize it, you know? repurpose it. There you go. And so I did that. Now I'm thinking of taking now I'm thinking of taking my bicycle back north for a couple of months. And then I'll have to drive it back, and people will say, "Why'd you drive?" Well, I wanted to bring my bicycle back. Well, why
don't you just buy a bike down here?
Exactly. It's like, why do you care what I'm doing? All right, that's it. Kelly, can you give out our email address?
Yes. If you want to reach us through the wonders of email, you can reach us at modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L like Wilson, not two L's like Williamson.
Easy for you to say.
I know.
That would have been one L like Lincoln Highway.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Two L's like Thomas.
Time out. Lincoln Highway is two L's.
No, it's two L's. That's right.
Okay, so then it's one L.
No. Oh, wait, yeah.
And that's the last we heard from Brooke.
Yeah, okay. Okay. You caught me making a mistake. I apologize. That could have been...
It doesn't happen that often, so we have to point it out.
Lionel, you didn't have your glasses on, so you couldn't see that.
That's a one L like Brad left.
Two L's like Williamson's gone.
Again.
Keeps coming back.
All right. And if you didn't catch that email address, if you go to our website at modelerslife.com and scroll down, you'll see a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And all you got to do is click on that picture, and boom, the email address is filled in for you, and you're all set to go. Ryan, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
I have.
Well, if you go to one of your competitors, Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you'll get to know Stephen when we have you and Stephen and Lauren on the same show. If you go to their website and you scroll across their navigation bar to Other and click on that, the drop-down menu, you'll see the AML shop. And in there, you'll find a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs. And in there, you'll find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it. And our very own Brad, the professor, owns several of those. And I
love them. Yes.
You've had many fine compliments of them.
Yes. And that's even with me wearing it. They still compliment the shirt.
There you go.
It's the power of the hot dog.
It's the power of the hot dog. And that's also something that started one day when I just literally I was in Costco feeling sorry for myself. So I put on Facebook, hey, in Costco for $1.50, you can get a hot dog and all the soda you can drink. And from that, I became the hot dog king.
And you got a trophy to show it.
Yeah, and I got a trophy to show for it. Yeah. We should give that trophy to somebody else now. I just had a great idea. But we'll talk about that off the air. What else? Oh, yeah. And if you like this podcast and you'd like twice as much podcasting a week, for just a few cents a day, you can join our Patreon channel, and then you'll get a podcast every Tuesday as well as every Monday. And on the Tuesday channel, that's more of we answer our viewer mail. We have a little more in-depth chats, like we have one with Chris Adams, a fireside chat with Chris Adams, and we try to be a little bit more in-depth. It's a little bit like sitting on the porch with Andy and Barney and Opie and and P. That was one fine dinner. So it's just a little more down home, a little more relaxed, that kind of thing. And then if you want to go to the T-shirt level, for just a few more cents a day, you can enter the contest that is sweeping the globe. And it's called, Hey Dude, Where's My Shirt? And for
sweeping, no, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sweeping the globe so much that you recently had to open up a distribution center in Australia.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's going to be people in Australia getting their T-shirts. Unless, of course, our buddy Nigel Garshore decides to keep them all.
All the different sizes.
And in which case, the Where's My Shirt contest is really going to take off down under.
Yeah, that's right.
At least for the Australians.
Yeah. It's just a lost cause. So where are we going on this bus trip? So we're going to York. Isn't that far from Reading? So we're going.
53, I think it was 53 miles. I said.
Yeah. Where's the Lehigh Valley Model Railroad? It's in Allentown.
Bethlehem.
Where's it?
That's east of Reading.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be a fun day. And then we'll just we'll be out there for like 14 hours. Maybe we could go down to my place in Florida.
Or we could all see the garbage can then.
Yeah. Or maybe I should bring it with.
We won't see the bicycle though.
Or maybe I should bring it with me to Tomstock.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Here's my garbage can.
Garbage sitting next to you.
Well, it been a waste. I was just sitting there, and I was going to Florida anyways, and I didn't. I'm having trouble walking right now, and I'm walking with a cane, and I just didn't feel like hobbling through the airport because that's
an emotional object.
Yeah. So it was like my blankie.
Yeah.
you have a therapy
garbage can.
Yeah.
Lionel, you shouldn't have to explain yourself. If you want to take your garbage can to Florida, that's your right.
Yeah.
It's your emotional support garbage can.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. There you go.
Put some AML stickers on it.
I think we covered everything, haven't we, Bruce?
Yeah.
All right. Ryan, so now we're going to need you at the appropriate moment to say happy rails to you.
All right.
And now the key to this is there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no interpretation of any kind. What we need you to say with enthusiasm is happy rails to you. And you'll know when that time is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, Ryan, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say...
Happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Oh, no, I wanted you to do it with enthusiasm.
He's been eating too many cheese balls.
Yeah. He's Logie on cheese balls. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that went well.